What's up, guys? How we doing today? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Trump deploys the National Guard after 2 days, after second day of Los Angeles immigration protests. This article is coming from CNN, so take that with what you will. You know, CNN, the only provider of sheer 100% truth, as some of you might think. But anyway, regardless what you think about it, that's what we're going to talk about today. Trump and his order of the National Guard to Los Angeles about the protests. That's what we're talking about. Stay tuned. This one will be a good one. Be back in a second. All right, so coming from CNN, like I said, this is, and I do have some footage of this, which I'll get into here in a second, but President Donald Trump has signed a presidential memorandum deploying 2,000 National Guardsmen to Los Angeles to disperse protests that began in response to immigration raids, the White House said in a statement on Saturday. Immigration authorities and demonstrators have clashed for 2 days in the Los Angeles area, with arrests beginning Friday after dozens of people were detained by federal immigration agents across different locations. The arrests come amid Trump's crackdown on immigration, which has involved waves of raids and deportations across the country. Law enforcement in riot gear deployed tear gas and flashbangs to disperse crowds in downtown Los Angeles and the city paramount over the 2 days, with authorities reporting multiple arrests on Saturday. So we're going to get into this, to the video. It's kind of shows a little bit about kind of what's going on, at least on camera. They're not showing any of the major stuff, but we'll get into that, and then we'll come back and we'll move on.
Protesters have been clashing with law enforcement officials amid a sweeping immigration crackdown. This is the second straight day of disturbances. President Trump has ordered 2,000 National Guardsmen to be deployed, warning that the federal government will, quote, solve the problem the way it should be solved. California Governor Gavin Newsom calls that move, quote, purposefully inflammatory. At least 118 people have been arrested during operations this week, according to the Department of Homeland Security. CNN's Julia Vargas Jones is on the scene in Los Angeles. Julia, explain what's going on right now.
Well, right now what's happening, Anderson, is protesters have come to downtown Los Angeles. We are just outside the federal building that also serves as an ICE and USCIS and the detention center for all those 118 people that you mentioned. DHS says has been arrested in the operations this week. They're saying ICE has no room, has no place here in Los Angeles, and they have been saying that in other parts of the city as well. We saw these clashes here in downtown yesterday, but today, right now, in Compton, protesters with Mexican flags have set a car on fire. We saw clashes, well, for several hours in Paramount, California. That's just 1 hour south of Los Angeles. And the message everywhere is the same. That people saying ICE should not be conducting these raids here. Now, this is part of law enforcement operations. We have heard that at least 3 of them took place in downtown Los Angeles, and we are seeing a surge of federal law enforcement, especially tonight, Anderson, as President Trump has authorized 2,000 National Guard troops to come into Los Angeles. Now, as you mentioned, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, said this will only serve as an inflammatory action to these protesters. At this time, I will say this is a small protest. We are seeing images that are shocking, but these are quite small. We were expecting a little bit more in there. We are being told from these protesters here that there will be more people coming. They want people to come and express their outrage with these actions. They say these are people that are part of Los Angeles and families that are being broken apart. You know, California is home to an estimated 10 million undocumented immigrants, and about a third of those are here in Los Angeles no surprise to see this kind of reaction from the population of Los Angeles, as well as from its leader. Mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, said that she was angered by this.
Okay, so it doesn't seem like things are getting too out of hand. I mean, they're still clashing. I mean, it showed a car on fire, but I mean, it doesn't seem like it's too out of hand, or at least the video that CNN showing. They may not want to show any of the bad stuff, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the president's decided that he's not going to let it turn out to be like the George Floyd peaceful protest that burned places down. Maybe he doesn't want it to get that bad. Maybe he's sending it out there to keep it calm. Maybe because the ICE agents, that's not what they're there for. They're there to do a job, and if people are pushing back against it, they can't do their jobs. So maybe that's why he sent in the National Guard, so that these ICE people, these ICE agents and the Border Patrol could actually do their jobs. Because they're not there to fight protesters. They're there to pick up illegal immigrants. They're not there for that. Let's read on and see what CNN continues to say. These operations are essential to halting and reversing the invasion of illegal criminals into the United States. In the wake of this violence, California's feckless Democrat leaders have completely abdicated their responsibility to protect their citizens, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement. California Governor Gavin Newsom called the deployment of troops purposefully inflammatory and warned it would only escalate tensions. This is the wrong mission and will erode public trust, Newsom said. Okay, but like I said, he's just most likely, and I don't know, I'm not in the White House, and I'm not at California, luckily. I'm glad I'm not there. But he's just basically sounds like he's just doing this to combat the chance for it to escalate. Yeah, if they think it's going to escalate, that just means that Gavin Newsom is egging on the escalation. He's inciting violence, if you will. Isn't that what they got mad at Trump for? He's inciting violence. Well, that's kind of what Gavin Newsom just said. It's going to escalate. And he's probably pushing for escalation. It's your own city, in your own state, that you're governor. Don't you want them to just come in there and terrorize your cities? And Trump's just trying to let ICE do their job. And maybe they're not deporting them. Maybe they're just putting them back into these detention centers within the United States and allowing them their due process, because that's what you guys want, due process. So maybe he's doing that, but they need to get rounded up. They can't just run free in the cities. But officials from the Trump administration described protesters as lawless rioters. Los Angeles Police Department, meanwhile, said Saturday's demonstrations within the city remained peaceful and events concluded without incident. I mean, based on the videos based on that video that we saw, it looked like it was, peaceful from both sides. The National Guard was just kind of standing there watching, making sure it didn't get out of hand. And the protesters were not really letting it get out of hand from what I saw in the videos. So, and maybe they weren't showing everything from the previous night. That was just from during daylight hours and whatnot, but who knows? But it looks like both sides were being mostly peaceful. The National Guard was peaceful. They weren't really out there harassing everybody. They weren't. I mean, they may have. I mean, there was one that said they were spraying tear gas or whatever, and maybe they were. Maybe when they were starting to get a little rambunctious, they were. But based on the video, National Guard was just kind of standing there watching, making sure it didn't get out of hand. And they're just trying to let the ICE do their jobs. They're there to do a job. We don't come and harass you at your job. But they're just doing a job ordered by the president. Are you the president? Okay, then. The president ordered them to do their job. And that's what we voted for. We voted for stronger borders and deportations. Get these criminals out of here. And maybe they're not all criminals, like I've said before. Maybe they're not all criminals. Maybe some of them are good. And that's the thing. That's why we're detaining them, putting them in detention centers, so that we can figure that out. And maybe get the violent ones out of here, and maybe the other ones can go through their due process and become citizens or get let go or whatever. And I think it's also it's kind of a power move also by the president to show that he means business. He's not going to let people get away with this. Even the governor of California, he's not letting them get away with this. And that's what we voted for. That's what I voted for, is less talk, more action. He's actually doing something. He's showing that we mean business. We didn't vote for him to just talk. We voted for him to do stuff. And he's doing it, and we're not putting up with it. That's what he's there to show, and that's what he's showing. He's showing, no, we're going to handle this. And that's what I think he needs to do. Reading on. Elsewhere in Los Angeles County, a crowd of protesters in Paramount became increasingly agitated, throwing objects and exhibiting violent behavior towards federal agents and deputy sheriffs. So they are getting a little violent. And this is even coming from CNN. See, it said elsewhere in Los Angeles County, a crowd of protesters in Paramount became increasingly agitated, throwing objects and exhibiting violent behavior towards federal agents and deputy sheriffs. Again, this is CNN here. Los Angeles Sheriff's Department said in an advisory Saturday night in response, the department requested additional resources statewide or countywide and deployed additional deputies. There you go. They're calling for more help because they don't want it to turn into Seattle and Portland and Minneapolis. Nearby in Compton, a vehicle was set on fire where protesters began to gather. Video from CNN affiliate KABC showed on Friday, video showed several projectiles being thrown at officers equipped with body armor and protective shields outside a Los Angeles detention center. So there is some getting violence, and that's why the deputies were calling for help. And Trump just jumped in and, all right, we'll help you. And I know this is going on in other cities. I've got another video that shows that it's going on in New York and it's going on in Chicago and some others. We can go ahead and play that, and then we'll come back to the article here in a second.
Southern California tonight, President Trump says he is deploying the National Guard as protests erupt over federal immigration raids. Trump's border czar Tom Homan says 2,000 soldiers are heading to Los Angeles tonight, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth warns that if violence continues, active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton will also be mobilized. Crowds are flooding the streets for a second day. They're furious over the dozens of arrests during ICE raids across LA. Protesters blocked traffic and clashed with federal agents today. Officers on the ground even fired tear gas into the crowds. California Governor Gavin Newsom is blasting the deployment, saying it will only escalate tensions. In New York, similar protests erupted in Lower Manhattan. At least 17 people were arrested today as demonstrators pushed back on ICE enforcement. Federal agents have been spotted near courthouses all week, and protesters say they're not backing down. Chicago is one of several cities now on high alert. This is video from Wednesday showing people taken into custody during an immigration check in the South Loop. The Department of Homeland Security says agents in Chicago and other major cities are being told to keep a close eye as officials closely watch the unrest in California.
All right, so it's showing that, I mean, this is happening elsewhere. I don't think he's called in the National Guard to Chicago or New York yet, but I don't know if they've gotten as violent, but we'll keep reading on about the Los Angeles one. I just wanted to show you that this isn't just happening in California. We're getting it. We're getting it all around. They're fighting everything. Whether whatever Trump does, they're fighting everything, and it just seems odd that they're fighting so hard for illegals, but they won't fight at all for actual citizens. These politicians like the governor, Gavin Newsom, and the mayors and these senators and these congressmen that are fighting so hard to keep these illegals here. How much money do these illegals donate to you via taxes? None. It's us, the citizens, that are paying taxes to pay your salary. Yeah, they're votes for you. They get you voted in when, but they don't supply you any money. We pay your salary. We, the citizens, pay your salary, not the illegals. And you turn around and give some of that money that we give you to these illegals. We're not here to pay for illegals. We pay our taxes for our country and our people. And for you to fight so hard for criminals, illegals that aren't supposed to even be here. It's like this Abrego Garcia guy. Why'd you fight so hard to bring him back? Do you see the long laundry list of things they're going to convict him for? He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison here, and then he's going to go to, if he does get out before he dies, he's going to go straight to El Salvador and probably serve a lot of time there too. So it's like you fought so hard to bring him back with our tax money, to bring him back, put him through court on our dime, let him sit out prison on our dime, using our taxpayer money to let him sit in prison for 20, 30, 40, however long years, just to send him back to spend more time there. It's like you're wasting our tax dollars. We voted for stronger borders. We voted for stronger borders. This is what we voted for, people. Just because you don't like it, that's what we voted for. We didn't vote for Biden's high inflation and poor economy either. But we dealt with it. We weren't out causing violence. We weren't out protesting it. We weren't protesting the amount of illegals coming into the country when Biden opened it up, said just come on in freely as you will. You didn't see us protesting. It's like with this Elon Musk deal. Now he's fighting with Trump, but you don't see us MAGA people. You don't see the MAGA. You don't see the Republicans out burning down Teslas. We're not the violent ones. Democrats are the violent ones. We're not the haters. Democrats are the haters. And this shows it right here. This is proof. We didn't do that with Biden at all. Yeah, we did the January 6th insurrection, but that was just a minor protest. That was lighter than this. If you go back and look at the footage, maybe not lighter, I don't know, but I know I'm going to get a lot of comments on that one, but the numbers are greater from the Democrat side. Say what you want about January 6th, whatever. But here you got Gavin Newsom inciting violence. This is going to escalate. What do you think that means? And then you're going to try and blame it on Trump for escalating it. No, Gavin Newsom's the one escalating it. If Gavin Newsom would have come in and said, all right, let's calm down. National Guard's here. We may not like it, but let's calm down. Let's fight this battle legally in court. Let's give them their due process. But he won't do that. He's inciting violence. He's inciting these people to go out and commit more crimes and do more. He's inciting violence. So for those of you that believe in that Trump incited the violence in January 6th, well, Gavin Newsom's inciting violence right here. So before you go and bust my balls, just know that same thing, same exact thing. So if you're trying to claim Trump did it, well, Gavin Newsom's doing it. So Gavin Newsom's behind this whole deal. Anyway, should we continue reading? Levitt argued that Trump called in the guardsmen to address lawlessness that has been allowed to fester. And violent mobs attacked ICE officers and federal law enforcement agents. Doesn't surprise me. Trump invoked his authority under Title 10, which allows the president to call in the National Guard as necessary to repel invasions, suppress rebellion, or execute laws. The U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said activity due to Marines at Camp Pendleton will also be mobilized if the unrest continues. So he's within his legal rights to do this. So you can't be saying that he's doing something unconstitutionally, because he is within his legal rights under Title 10 to call in the National Guard, which is to repel invasion, suppress rebellion. There you go. That's what it is. He's suppressing rebellion. Yeah, they're allowed to protest, and they're not stopping them from protesting. They're there to suppress rebellion. Protest all you want, but there will be no rebellion. And or execute laws, which violence is technically unlawful. Protesters face off with police. The White House's move is facing criticism from some law enforcement. Many see the deployment of the National Guard as an overreaction that may backfire and only provoke additional agitators. One senior law enforcement source involved in responding to Los Angeles protests said, dozens of potential violent demonstrators were observed by law enforcement around Los Angeles as of Saturday evening, and law enforcement officers were actively working to bring them under control, according to sources. Videos of the scene on Friday show law enforcement in riding gear, wielding batons, holding shields, and throwing smoke bombs into the crowd. Protesters chanted, "Free them all," and held signs with messages including "full rights for immigrants" and "stop the deportations." Video shows several officers in riot gear pinning at least one person to the ground. Other videos show the detention centers sprayed with anti-ICE graffiti, with some protesters blocking LAPD vehicles close by. It's minor so far, but that's why the National Guard is there, to keep it minor. You know, like I said, protesting is fine. I have no problem with protesting, but once it starts getting violent, that's when he needs to step in, and he's stepping in before it gets violent, and it's every bit within his constitutional right as president to do that. Whatever you think, if you think it's going to escalate, whatever, then I guess it's going to escalate, but that's on you. That's not on President Trump. He's in there trying to calm it down. He's trying to come in there and make sure it doesn't get out of hand. So if it gets out of hand, it's on you, not on him. He's not in there to get it out of hand. He's in there to keep it from getting out of hand. And they say free them all, full rights to immigrants. Like, come on, like seriously, full rights to people that want to burn our flags. You want to burn our flags, but yet you want rights to our country. You want our full citizenship. Just, there you go. You come in, sneak across our border. Now you're a citizen, but yet you're willing to burn our flags and wave your flag of your own country. But yet, I mean, you hate America. You love your country, but yet you don't want to go back to your country. You want to stay in the country you hate instead of going back to the country that you love. It makes no sense. totally makes no sense to me. But further investigation. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino said Saturday on social media the Bureau was investigating alleged instances of demonstrators obstructing immigration enforcement operations. Insurrectionists carrying foreign flags are attacking immigration enforcement officers, while one half of America's political leadership has decided that border enforcement is evil. Vice President DJ Vance said in a post on X on Saturday night. Mayor Karen Bass said many in Los Angeles County are fearful following recent federal immigration enforcement actions. She added that reports of unrest are deeply concerning. Funny. But yet, they don't want the National Guard in there to make sure it stays calm. Weird. She added that reports of unrest are deeply concerning. So let's send in the National Guard to keep the unrest at a minimum. But yet now you're pissed off that we did that. We've been in direct contact with officials in Washington, D.C., and are working closely with law enforcement to find the best path forward, Bass said in a statement Saturday night. Everyone has the right to peaceful protest, but let me be clear, violence and destruction are unacceptable, and those responsible will be held accountable. Good. Hold them accountable. Make an example out of them. Let's show them that we mean business here. We're not putting up with it. Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department said it was working to ensure the safety of the public by managing traffic and controlling crowds. The response to the protests drew conflict between ICE and Los Angeles Police Department. Our brave officers were vastly outnumbered as over 1,000 rioters surrounded and attacked a federal building, ICE said in a statement, saying LAPD took 2 hours to respond. But LAPD said it mobilized personnel and acted as swiftly as conditions safely allowed. Sowing a sense of terror. Bass, the Los Angeles mayor, characterized the immigration arrest as mass chaos, according to a CNN affiliate, KABC. The mayor said she hadn't been told about the raids in advance. It sows a sense of terror throughout the community, she said. ICE was literally chasing people down the streets. The Associated Press reported at least 44 people were arrested by federal immigration agents. Immigrants and Customs enforcement officers executed search warrants in 3 locations, according to a spokesperson for Homeland Security Investigations. 44 people were arrested. Immigration and Customs enforcement officers executed search warrants. That means they've already been through some kind of process to gain access to these places. They're not just raiding the place. I mean, they are, but they had a search warrant to do this. They didn't just come in. They've already gone through the court system and got their warrants to do this. They already have their court's approval to do this. So why get so mad about it? I mean, why are you taking it out on the agents that are doing this? They've already got search warrants for it. Why don't you go after the judge that gave them the search warrants? Not that I'm giving you any ideas. I'm just saying you're protesting for something that's nonsense. Let these guys do their jobs. Let them put these guys on in their due process and determine if they need to leave or not. I mean, they're here illegally. So there you go. The federal law enforcement activity came on the same day multiple sources told CNN the Trump administration is preparing for large-scale cancellation of federal funds for California. Oh, I see. CNN has reached out to DHS for further information. So they're trying to just say that it's because Trump is just on some kind of a tear about it came on the same day that he's withholding funds from California. Well, you know, you're harboring these people. You're trying to hold them from us. You're trying to hide them. You're trying to, and these are government people, are trying to not allow ICE to come in and do their jobs that they've been ordered by we the people, have instructed them, have instructed our president to tighten our borders and deport criminals. We voted for that. Yes, we did. We voted for that. So over half the country, over half at least the voters that can vote for this stuff voted for this. And if you're going to be pushing back, well, guess what? We're going to send in the National Guard. We mean business. Okay. We voted this. It's like whoever it was, I think it was Stephen A. Smith said, this is a mandate. Yes. Trump has been mandated by the American people to do a job. And now he's passing on our authority or our direction or what we've mandated him to do. He's passing that along to ICE and these law enforcement agencies to do a job, and now they're doing a job, and now a few people think that they can fight back and stop it from happening. No, not happening. Anyway, I guess that's what I got today. You see, as you can see, the world's getting crazy. It's all over in some of these big cities, and it's probably going to get worse. The more these immigration arrests happen, the more these raids happen, the more these immigration laws get enforced, the more we're going to see this. So it's not, and you're not against your right to protest. But Trump's not against his rights to deport. It's or to call in the National Guard when needed, just to kind of make sure it doesn't get extremely out of hand. And just remember, on January 6th, Pelosi called off the National Guard. She had that chance. She said no. They were going to send in thousands of National Guards to stop the January 6th, but she called it off, if you remember. There's even video showing that. I don't have proof of it. It's online, but yeah, she has proof saying that she called off the National Guard on January 6th. So she could have handled this the same way. The Democrats could have handled this the same way, but they chose not to. Trump's just choosing to keep the peace a little bit more. He's keeping it from getting too violent. He's actually saving. You should be thanking him. Especially you business owners that are down there and you residents and you people that actually voted for Trump should be thanking him for sitting in the National Guard, because there's business owners down there that may not want their businesses to get burned down because some stupid people being stupid. So we send in the National Guard to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah. California, you should be thanking Donald Trump, not getting mad at him. But it is what it is. The world's getting crazy, as you can see, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. So stay strapped if you can. I know those of you that live in some of these cities can't stay strapped because of your stupid state governments don't allow you to. California, Chicago, New York. It's hard to stay strapped in those places, but carry the most effective tool you can to protect yourself legally. Stay aware. You know, if best way to stay safe from that kind of chaos is stay out of it. Don't be where the chaos is. That's all I can tell you. Anyway, appreciate y'all. Links down below if you feel like supporting the channel in any way, and some of my other channels that I'm trying to build up. If you feel like checking those out, please do. Appreciate y'all. Love you. See you in the next one.